In Boston, an unvaccinated father has been removed from the top of the heart transplant list because of his vaccination status. Now, I mean, whatever happened to the Hippocratic Oath here? Whatever happened to first do no harm? And whatever happened to not punishing people because of their medical choices?
Yeah, absolutely.
A couple of years ago, if you suggested someone should have medical care withheld because they committed a crime, perhaps they were a murderer or a pedophile, something
Or they
evil.
ate junk food, they ate too much junk food.
No,
they can't have
unhealthy lifestyle.
someone who is universally derided by society, people would be aghast, saying, in a humane, sophisticated society, you would never withhold medical care, even for a murderer. Now, we've got people very openly, very proudly talking about withholding medical care.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what? But the weirdness, again, we're talking about the left. They pretend to be compassionate, but they're the last people to have any compassion for those who are genuinely suffering. It's the same with this, Rita. The left have said universal healthcare, that's our dream, universal healthcare. Now suddenly they're gone into reverse.
Well, but
it's
we
not really
always do.
universal. It's only universal for the people who are on the right side of politics, who have the correct thinking. They're the ones who are allowed healthcare. And all you naughty conservatives or bad people who have a slightly different point of view, no medical healthcare for you. You can have your heart attack.
But Rowan, we have seen echoes of this. We've seen this starting in the NHS in Britain for years
absolutely.
and years, long before the pandemic. They've all been for years floating, well, we're going to deny medical treatment to the obese or to the smokers or to the people who drink too much. Because, of course, once you start to make medicine socialized, well, that sounds wonderful. Everybody gets free health care. But then eventually, as Thatcher said, you start to run out of other people's money and you have to start rationing it. And, of course, for the socialists, it's all about who is virtuous, who is not, who's following their rules, who is not. And what happens is people stop being treated as individuals with dignity and a right to treatment and instead as bodies who are cogs of this bigger machine whose health has to do with the overall health of the community.
That is the socialist collectivist fantasy. The big machine, you're all just cogs in the machine. We decide who lives and who dies. It's like the Chinese with their organ transplants. If you're high up in the Politburo and the party elite, get the I need a liver. I'll have a couple of livers and a new heart. And while you're at it, grab me one of those Uyghur, new set of testicles. Thank you very much. I'll have those. So you can do whatever you want if you're in the party, if you're in the political socialist party, if you're the elite. This is where we are heading now, with exactly this idea that only those who've had the jab, then they're the ones who must get the medical treatment. If you don't, tough, you're on.
Well, having seen some socialists, high-profile socialists online and in person, I would suggest to them that they walk back from this position very quickly, because it is a slippery slope.
They're not bright enough. They're not bright enough, Rita.
Morbidly obese will be next.
Exactly, of course they will.
You choose to be morbidly obese in just about 95% of cases. It's a lifestyle choice. And why should you take up all this healthcare space, cost? What about people who abuse alcohol or drugs? What about people who are daredevils and get into accidents and need hospital beds at a greater rate than others? So it is a very slippery slope, and I would suggest to our socialist friends, get off this train, because it does not end up at a nice...
It's the Niemöller thing, isn't it? First they denied treatment to the unvaxxed, then they denied treatment to those who eat junk food.